Hey, it's Jess, and in this video I'm going to show you how to draft a basic t-shirt pattern in CLO 3D. Now that we know the measurements we need for our garment and we have them in our spreadsheet, we can start drafting the pattern template in CLO. So first we're going to draft a template, and then we're going to use the trace tool to trace the pattern from it. We'll start by using the rectangle tool in the 2D window. It's underneath the polygon tool, so you'll select the polygon tool, toggle down to rectangle. Click once on the workspace, and the width of our rectangle will be 11 inches, so half of the 22-inch sweep that we want. Sweep means the bottom opening of the t-shirt. And the height of the rectangle will be 24 inches. That's the body length we would like for the shirt. Click OK. And I'm just going to move this down slightly. Next we'll add internal lines using the Edit Pattern tool. Click on the top edge of the rectangle, right click, offset as internal line. So we'll make a line for the shoulder slope, which will be 1 1/8. Click OK. Click the top edge of the rectangle again, offset as internal line. The next line will represent the front neck drop position, which is 5 inches down. Click the top edge of the rectangle again. This top edge is representing the high point shoulder. We're going to right click, offset as internal line, and the next line will be the armhole depth line, level line, 9 inches. Click OK. Click the right edge of the rectangle, and this is representing the center front of the garment. So right click, offset as internal line, and we'll make a guideline for the neck width, which is 4 inches, half of our 8-inch neck width. Remember, we are working with half of the pattern right now, so all of our width measurements will be half of what we had on the spreadsheet. Next we'll add the across front position, offset as internal line, 7 1/4. Click OK. Select the right edge of the rectangle again, offset as internal line, and this will be for the across shoulder position, which is 8 inches, half of our 16-inch measurement. Okay, now is a great time to actually copy and paste. So Control C, Control V, or right click, copy and paste. And I'm just going to paste this template kind of up and away. We'll use it for the back later. So now that we have all of our guidelines, we're going to use the internal polygon / line tool. The shortcut key is G. And let's start where the center front neckline is. Click there to start, and then find our neck width, high point shoulder line. Click again, and then follow the shoulder slope line over to the across shoulder. Click once, and then we're gonna click down here where the chest meets the side seam, double click to finish. So obviously we need to add some curves. Go to the Edit Pattern tool and select Edit Curvature, and let's curve the neckline. You'll want to have a right angle at the center front and at the shoulder seam so that the seams do not have a pointy shape when sewn. Okay, and then go to the armhole. I'm going to use my across front line as a guideline. Remember, this is the across shoulder line, this is the across front line, this is our armhole depth line. So now we have a nice armhole shape. You can add a guideline for the across front level position. I can add that now. Offset as internal line, and it's typically at the midpoint of the armhole. The across front or cross back is typically 5 to 6 inches from the high point shoulder. So for this style, it's going to be 5 inches, and it looks like my armhole curve is pretty close to that intersection of our a cross front width and our cross front placement from HBS. I'm just going to use edit curvature to drag it slightly inward so that it's touching that line. Okay, now we are ready to trace the pattern from the template. In the 2D window, there's the trace tool. So let's click on that. Click the neckline, hold shift, select the shoulder seam, the armhole, the side seam, the sweep, and the center front. Right click, trace as pattern, hold shift, and then left click to place it. You can now move the template for the front kind of up and out of the way. Right click the template, hide 3D pattern, right click the template, deactivate pattern and sewing. You could save this in a separate file or, keep it in this file deactivated for future use. Now let's do some cleanup. Click all of the internal lines in the pattern, right click, extend, trim, add point to pattern outline. If you don't want to add a point, you can just extend and trim to pattern outline. You can select multiple lines and trim them at the same time. Or you can do one at a time. Here I have multiple lines, so I'm going to delete that extra line. I'm actually going to delete the across shoulder line. Because really, we don't need it, and we don't want to have lines extending beyond the pattern if we can help it. So I'm going to select all of those internal lines now, and instead of deleting them, you can right-click, convert to baseline, right-click the 2D background, and lock all baselines. So now you still have these guidelines, but they are deactivated. And I really don't need this intermediate point at the sweep, so I'm going to delete that. Okay, now our front pattern is complete. So we can right-click, clone pattern with linked editing, symmetric pattern with sewing, hold shift, and paste the other side. So now we have both sides of our t-shirt. That's it for the front. Next we'll do the back.